Redlands Bayside, home to beautiful beaches, bays and islands, picturesque hinterlands, the best climate in Australia, and an abundant spectrum of flora and fauna. Some say it is Southeast Queensland's best kept secret. However, others may say it is one of Queensland's biggest growing rubbish dumps. Studies done by the Queensland Government Department of Environment in 2013 suggest that 14,500 tonnes of litter and illegally dumped waste were collected, and in a desperate effort to manage this, it cost them $11 million. If these results were recorded in 2013, you can only imagine what the results are now. Let's take a step inside of their shoes. This animal is found around the Redlands Bayside area. See if you can guess.
Things are changing a lot around here. Life used to be as cool as a sea breeze. I never had to worry about what I ate and where I went. But a while ago, things started changing. My friends and I get confused about what's good food and what's not. Places that were safe and places that aren't. When someone eats litter, you can always tell. They claim to feel sick, but we all know what's next to come. They can either be poisoned by toxic litter, starved to death. It could clog up their digestive organs, or it could seriously injure them by strangling or cutting. I've seen many of my friends die, leaving their children, family, and friends to fend for themselves. I'm worried about us. It's not hard to realize that we are rapidly declining in numbers. Life has become a fight, but the worst part is that it's every man for himself. From there, things have gone from bad to worse. This is me, a victim of littering. My world has been turned upside down, and if something doesn't change, I know that we will.
Although it may be obvious that litter and illegally dumped waste can seriously injure our marine mammals and birds, this litter is actually destroying the environment and animals' habitat in the long run. Not only are these animals fighting for survival, they are fighting for their habitat, for their homes that are being destroyed by the day. Heavily littered areas are unsuitable for nesting, feeding, and shelter, forcing birds to seek out less desirable areas with greater competition for necessary resources. Litter can also contaminate water sources, and polluted ground is less likely to support insects or seeds, making it increasingly hard for birds to find clean water or food. Discarded food that is left as litter can attract predators such as rats, feral cats, and foxes that will also prey on birds or nests. Rotting litter can also give rise to bacteria that will cause illness in birds, or it may attract ticks or mites that can be detrimental pests. Furthermore, our throwaway society is one that applauds the destruction of the natural environment. How on earth is this acceptable? Have you ever wondered where all of this litter ends up? After being washed down stormwater drains and into sewer pipes, eventually it can end up into rivers or the ocean. After this, the current and winds sweep the litter toward a place where the currents meet, called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Hence the name, the Garbage Patch is a floating trash island located in the central of the North Pacific Ocean. If this doesn't shock you enough, this island is roughly the size of Queensland, with a span of more than 700,000 square kilometres, twice the size of Texas. The amount of debris in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch accumulates because most of it is not biodegradable. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch includes beaches, a rocky coastline, and underwater mountains, and reefs made of ropes, buoys, and other plastic debris. Litter on the ground and in the water degrades natural areas and kills plants and animals. In other words, it just looks gross. A litter-strewn location looks dirty and unsightly, making it a less pleasant environment for those that live in or use it. Litter that accumulates may also smell, further reducing the quality of a location. When littering becomes commonplace in an area, it sends the message that the practice is acceptable, and the result is that people continue to discard litter carelessly. The litter can contain diseases that can be passed between animals that eat it. If the rubbish is sitting in water, the water becomes contaminated, and when the water evaporates, whatever is in the rubbish is now in the air. Whether the litter is intentional or unintentional, large or small, it can drastically affect the environment for years to come. before carelessly tossing another item out the window or looking the other way when someone else does. Consider the impact you can make on the environment by recycling, reusing, and disposing of waste properly. So, with all of that covered, what can you guys do to help solve this problem? Firstly, remember that stormwater drains flow straight to our waterways. Don't throw any litter in the street or gutter because it might end up in the ocean or on the beach. If you go fishing, make sure you take all your rubbish home with you. That means all your bait bags, lunch wrappers, cans, as well as any snagged line and worn out gear like old nets. Don't wash your car or do a grease and oil change on the road or driveway because the detergent and oil will wash down the stormwater drain and flow into the ocean untreated, poisoning marine animals and plants. Create less rubbish in the first place. Don't buy products that are overpackaged, wrapped in individual packs or several layers of plastic. Buy products with biodegradable packaging and reuse your plastic shopping bags. Or take cloth ones to the shops instead. Tell your friends or family and anyone you see littering about the dangers of rubbish to marine animals and encourage them to do the right thing with litter. And lastly, if you see stranded marine animals, injured, sick or dead, call the RSPCA Queensland. Littering is a worldwide issue, an issue that is more than we can see.